Hello, lords and ladies. Today we're going to talk about the Age of Exploration. So it's about exploring and then expanding territory in each of the empires that we'll look at. We're talking about the time period 1400, which is in like the middle of the Renaissance, up to about 1700. So we're going to see how the Renaissance today leads into this desire to explore the world, and then what that's going to mean for future generations. So today we have two objectives. Primarily, we're going to look at analyzing the forces that come together in this time frame that make the Age of Exploration possible for the Europeans. Why is it that they're able to do this? And we have to look at technological advancement. We have to look at differences in government structure. And we also have to look at the motivations behind it. So what was going on that made them even want to explore the world? That's one. Second thing we have to look at is evaluating the extent to which the year of 1492 in particular is in fact a turning point in history. To evaluate, again, means to make a judgment about something. So these are the key factors that we'll be looking at. I'm going to move on now, so if you need more time, you need to pause it. First things we want to look at are the motivations, and when you're looking at the pictures there, you should be able to tell two of them right off the bat. We're going to call them the 3 Gs, even though there are other ways to describe them. We want you to understand that and make it easier, like with a mnemonic device, 3 Gs, to try to help you remember why the Europeans want to explore. So the first G is gold, wealth. They want to find a faster route to Asia. When they have to go to Asia on the Silk Roads, there are Muslim traders who are there almost blocking the way. We're going to look at the Ottoman Empire soon. And they pretty much kind of want tribute. They want money. And so it's making that trade a lot less lucrative. And the Europeans want to avoid having to deal with the Muslim traders and other people that they're going to encounter on the Silk Roads. So they want to find a faster sea route to Asia. And that way, they can gain more money than they already have through their trade. That's the first G. So cash, money, right? Gold. The second G is glory. The idea of wanting fame and fortune and wanting to have that recognized. You know, the explorers themselves want to be famous. They want people to remember them. They want to be in history books. They want you to be learning about them now. So The second G is glory. Kings and queens, same thing. You know, they want their empires to be huge and world famous and inspire fear and awe in all the people that they conquer. And then the third G is God. You have a lot of the churches trying to spread their Christian religions. Now, some people are leaving in terms of being persecuted. They feel that they can make a better start somewhere else. But the Catholic Church in particular, and some of the others, need to spread their religion. They need to get more members in the church. When you look at the Catholic Church, they've lost membership because you have all these different denominations, like the Lutherans and the Calvinists that have come out of, remember, the Protestant Reformation. So to try to bolster their faith, they want to spread it to other people throughout the world. So the three G's, in short, are gold, God, and glory. The last motivation that you would look at is curiosity itself. I mean, what's out there? Remember the Renaissance, that questioning spirit. Question everything that you know and challenge it, and you may come to newer and better understanding. Marco Polo, with his involvement with the Mongols, and coming back and writing about it and putting out all the things there for those people to know about China that made them so intrigued and wanting to go. And then Ibn Battuta, who is the Arabic Marco Polo, essentially, he did the same thing. He brought knowledge back about Africa and other places in the world, and that sparked interest. So, plain old curiosity. In terms of the will to want to explore, the Europeans definitely have that. They have the motivation, they have the desire to want to, but that's very different than being able to. So we have to also look at the technological aspects of exploration. How did they develop what they needed to actually be able to go on long sea voyages and safely return? So the first piece of technology you would find in this situation, you'd be talking about the compass. It always allows you to find north. And so for sea goers and travelers of all kinds, that is a crucial ability. The next invention comes actually from the Muslims, and it's the astrolabe, and that is again a navigation tool that helps you find your location based on the positions of the stars. So they are now better able to know where they are on the Earth by using the astrolabe, which helps them find their location. And you see the astrolabe there in Columbus's hand. Perhaps the most important innovation is their advancements in shipbuilding. They are able to make caravels, which are the multi-masted ship that you see there behind Columbus. It allows them to travel faster and further than they were able to before. So these are the technologies that we would be talking about, that now you have the will, but you also have the way, right? You have the ability to use these technologies to your advantage and travel further safely without risk of being lost forever. Okay, if you need more time, you should pause it, because I'm going to move on. In terms of countries that are involved in this, we're looking at Portugal, we're looking at Spain. They're the pioneers, the first people to try and go out and do these things. And what you should notice about them that makes them able to do these things is their geographic location. They're located on the Iberian Peninsula, which is the one that juts out into the Atlantic Ocean, south of France, and across from Great Britain. Each of them, obviously, it's a peninsula, complete access to the ocean, so it makes it an ideal place. When you look at Portugal, that's going to be an area where the Prince Henry of Portugal, he's going to fund all of these voyages to try to find a water route around Africa to get to India. So he's motivated by a desire to go into India, as are many of the Europeans. And he's going to put a lot of money into trying to do so. So he's one of the initial pioneers to go out and do this. In terms of the explorers that he sends out, Bartolomé Diaz, who tries to get to India, but he's turned around by the winds around South Africa and sailed back. But they do know at least that they're making progress. The guy who's going to realize Diaz's dream and get to India is Vasco da Gama. Da Gama gets to India, which makes Spain and other countries take notice that you can go south and you can go around Africa to get to India. And that's a very huge motivation. For Portugal, this brings tremendous amount of wealth and power. So Portugal is going to get rich and powerful in large part due to the voyages of Vasco da Gama. And Bartolomé Diaz really kind of set the trend for that. So da Gama is the one I want you to remember. Because of him, they get to India, and that's going to bring tremendous into Portugal. If we look at Spain, it involves a little differently. In 1492, Christopher Columbus, who is Italian, ended up going to his government prior to this, even years prior to this, asking them to fund him on a voyage where he believed that he could sail west, and that would bring him to China faster. And this was an idea that, other people had kind of thought of, but there was some fear involved and there was trepidation, and so most countries would not fund him. They said, no way. In 1492, Ferdinand and Isabella of Spain do fund Columbus, and they do allow him to go out and sail west, trying to find the faster route to China. When he does this, of course, we know in 1492, he discovered, and we know that there's contention about that, but in terms of a lasting impact, he discovered the Americas. And that he actually landed in San Salvador, which is Latin America, so in the Caribbean. So we're looking at Columbus setting the trend. Then you had other Spanish explorers, right? Balboa. Ferdinand Magellan is the one that I want you to know most significantly, other than Columbus and da Gama. Magellan dies, actually. He doesn't himself circumnavigate the globe, but his expedition, what he set out on, does. He's actually killed by natives on an island that they land on while they are doing it, but his men finished it. So Magellan's expedition is the one that actually circumnavigates, meaning goes entirely around the entire globe. So that is the contribution of Ferdinand Magellan. Okay, all of this exploration that these guys have encountered and embarked on is going to inspire other people. So England, you're going to see, is going to follow suit after seeing the success of Spain. And in 1497, okay, John Cabot goes out looking again for the Northwest Passage. Sir Francis Drake heads out. And Henry Hudson is the most important of these in that in 1607 he finds what they had been looking for, the Northwest Passage, going all the way across North America. France gets in the mix too. Jacques Cartier comes and, for a large part, kind of stakes out Canada for them in the 1530s. England and France are going to kind of compete with each other over Canada, and that's where we're going to see the French and Indian War come into play. The Dutch in 1609 send Henry Hudson out again, so the English had sent him out in 1607, and then the Dutch fund him in 1609. And for the Dutch, he finds the Hudson River. So the Dutch actually controlled much of New York, which is why to this day we have towns that end in kill. Kill is Dutch for stream. So Fishkill, Peekskill, Plattekill, right? All of this reflects that Dutch influence. They also had control of New York City. It was New Amsterdam. And they controlled Manhattan, all of these areas that today are, the most populated in New York. So the Dutch, Henry Hudson, particularly important to this region in the Hudson River. And with that, we're going to take a break, and we'll look at more impacts of exploration in the next set of notes.